Hey guys, another episode of Alpha Project, and I want to go over heel spurs today. So let's go over what a heel spur is. So a heel spur, and the one we're going to focus on is a retro-calcaneal heel spur, and this is right in the back of the heel bone here, where that Achilles tendon inserts. And that's very important to note, because when you start doing these motions of the foot, of pushing my foot down, raising my foot up, that stretching and that contracting of that Achilles tendon starts to pull and put some tensile force where that bone is, and where that bone spur is, and it starts to irritate some things and cause inflammation, and by default also cause some pain. So that's what it is. So how do you get a heel spur? That's a great question. So typically, when someone has a heel spur, there can be other reasons why, but a very common reason is, hey, you were very athletic for a period of time, whether it was tennis, whether it was running, or any other athletic endeavor, or volleyball. So that's another very common one too, is volleyball. But for whatever the reason is, the cause is, this Achilles tendon is pulling and pulling and pulling and contracting on that calcaneus, on that bone, and your body is this amazing vehicle, this amazing machine where it says, hey, I'm really getting pulled on here. I need more strength here. I need to fortify this area. So your body will actually lay down more bone, thinking, hey, this is what I need to do, when in actuality it's causing this heel spurt to form. So that's a very common cause of it. Heel spurs can also, or spurs in areas can also be caused from, it could be some degenerative changes as well, such as arthritis. But a very common one is, hey, you've just been working the heck out of that Achilles for a very long time. There could be some mobility issues as well over the long term that had built up, and hey, you've been overusing your calf and overusing your Achilles, and that could be contributing to why you have that heel spur or that bone spur. So now that we know, hey, what it is and what are some possible causes for it, what can we do? What can we do to treat a heel spur, or attempt to resolve some of that pain and some of those symptoms? And number one, probably the most obvious one, is, well, you could have surgery, right? Or a surgeon could go in and they could surgically take some of the bone out, and sometimes it works. Other times, your body says, "Oh, why'd you take this bone out? It was there for a reason, right? Your body made that bone to fortify something and to strengthen it, so your body might actually just regrow that bone back." So surgery might not be the best option. Option two, what you have is, you can use an orthotic or a heel lift. And the theory behind that is, having this heel lift, having this orthotic, will put your foot, either A, an orthotic will put it in a more neutral position, or B, with the heel lift, or the orthotics typically have a heel lift built in. Sometimes they don't. Typically they do. But having a heel lift, it'll place your foot up a little bit more, and when it does that, it relieves some of the stretching that has to occur when you're walking and running through that Achilles and through that calf. So a heel lift can help unload it, and there's less stress and strain on that bone spur, and an orthotic can do that as well. Or the orthotic will, hey, it'll give you some of this arch support, so you have less of this pronation, supination moment of that foot. I'm not a huge fan of orthotics in general, but if they help with a bone spur, I'm actually pretty okay with that. So orthotics can be a pretty quick fix, and also can be a long-term fix if you stick with it. But typically, if it helps and you go out of the orthotic, that bone spur, the pain that you have and the symptoms you have associated with it, will typically come back once you come out of that orthotic. So the orthotic it can help. But I really want to talk about number three today, and option three you have, which is something you can actually do, and not just buying something, putting an orthotic in there. Nothing wrong with that by any means, but number three is mobility work, and what you can actually do to improve the mobility of that area, to help clear up some extra space and extra wiggle room, whether it's the calf, the ankle, the foot, to clear up some extra space, so there's less of that pulling of that Achilles and less of that stressing and straining and shear force of the Achilles on that calcaneus. So let's get right to it. The first one we're going to do, grab my handy dandy lacrosse ball here. And so what we're going to do is, we're going to do some soft tissue mobilization of the calf and of the Achilles. So I'm going to pull up bar, we'll use that in a second, we'll get that out of there. So you're just going to place the ball underneath your calf muscle here, and you're just rolling up and down, side to side, working this guy out. And the goal is to try and find a tender spot. Most people's calves are fairly jacked up, so finding a tender spot might not be too bad. And my outside is typically relatively tight here. So we're gonna roll up and down. Again, trying to find that tender spot, and when I find it, yeah, right there, I'm gonna move side to side, up and down, and just smash the heck out of this guy. And it's up to your tolerance. Pushing as hard as you can into it, but again, you're not killing yourself, but I want it to be, this should be relatively uncomfortable. Great, and what you can also do is find a tender spot, yeah, right there. You can push down, you can put your other foot on top if you'd like, if you really want to torture yourself, but you're here, and then you can add some ankle pump. So this is a flossing technique of, wow, I'm pinning down that muscle or tendon, which is what we'll do in a second. Hey, I'm really pinning this guy down and moving his ankle up and down, working the heck out of it. Again, you can do these guys for a minute and then go right into, hey, let me go up and down with my knee. That was a pretty big knee crack right there. Let me go up and down with my foot and ankle here. All right, so that's number one. Part two of number one is we're gonna get the Achilles. So now we're way up here in the calf, right? Bam, we're gonna go right down to the Achilles down here. It's a little bit hard to keep that ball on there, but still very important to hit this, especially with this heel spur. And we're gonna work the heck out of this guy. You go side to side, it's gonna be a little more jumpy on you because it's a relatively skinny tendon. But same rules apply. Trying to find a tender spot, and when you find one, you can reinforce your leg to try and keep it steady with your other foot. But bam, going up and down with the ankle here. Similar to the calf one, you're doing the same exact thing. You're just going up and down, working the heck out of this guy, getting it moving. Guys, 2 minutes again. Spend 2 minutes a day doing a calf mobilization, and then 2 minutes doing the Achilles mobilization of side to side for a minute and then up and down for a minute. That's really going to help you out to improve that tissue quality. Next, what we're going to do is you're going to need a band, a monster band. So if you don't have one, makes a great last minute Christmas gift. So what we're going to do, we're going to have the band, get yanked here, because this is a pretty tight band. Right above the ankles here, right above the ankle bones. And the goal is I'm just going to drive my knee forward and I'm coming back. And doing these for 2 minutes. So you're coming forward, and hold a second, bam, back right off. Forward. I like to put my hands on my knee, back right off. Again, don't let that knee dive in, guys. We don't want any collapsing here. If anything, actually let it dive out to the side. I'd rather it go towards the pinky toe here. And then dive, back right off. Dive, back right off. And again, guys, doing these for 2 minutes, holding just about a second at the end. Okay, so we've gone through two. So we've hit improving the muscle quality here, and then also improving the joint capsule. The last one we're going to do is we're going to improve the muscle length. We're actually going to stretch it, and you can do this one against the wall. Bam. So we're going to do a normal calf stretch. So if the wall's right in front of me here, right? Most people have done this guy. I'm going to change it up a little bit for you. So we're going to pretend this is my wall. I'm just going to use a pull-up bar. My foot's going to be on it, and actually rotate your foot in a little bit. So I'm going to be here, and then I'm rotating my foot in. So my whole leg is actually coming in a little bit, which I'll tell you why we're doing that in a second. So we're here, rotate in, keep your knee locked out nice and straight. I'm going to hold onto the wall here just to give me a little bit of support. And I'm not just cranking into this thing. I'm not just leaning forward, but I want my hips to actually thrust forward when we're doing this. So right, I'm not just here, but I'm actually here, and bam, I'm thrusting my hips a little bit forward, or I'm really thrusting them forward. You should feel a really good stretch in your calf here, and actually probably behind your knee as well. So, and you can actually kind of rotate. You can play around with it. You can play around. I gotta move my foot here. You can play around with the position that you're in, and trying to find, hey, where's this best position where I can get a really good stretch here. So the goal of this is, the reason that I am twisted a little bit is I'm not just going for the calf, but there's a whole fascial line in the back of the calf and back of the leg here that I'm trying to hit. So hitting that fascial line is going to be very important for not just stretching out the Achilles and the calf, but also stretching out the entire back of the leg. Because when we're running, guys, and we're pushing on, you're going through this motion of, hey, this leg's going behind me. There's a little bit of dorsiflexion, so my foot's coming up. In that position of, yes, I'm doing a calf stretch, but my whole leg is actually behind me. So when we're stretching our calves, we want our whole leg actually behind us, and then we're thrusting forward. So it's just a great way to progress that calf stretch into a more functional calf stretch, especially for runners or athletes that do a lot of running. So what we went over today was soft tissue mobilization, A, with the ball, B, joint mobilization with the strap, and then the last one was a static stretch. In this case, I used my pull-up bar, but you can use a wall. As long as you're thrusting your hips forward, that is the goal. So we hit all 3 ways to improve mobility. If something is bothering your Achilles or bothering your where your heel spur is, your heel spur pain, guys, back right off, no big deal. Just go lighter with it. Or if you have any questions, talk to your healthcare provider. Guys, if you guys like the video, please like and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.